Well, here it is, March 4th, 2025. So these are going to be repeating quotes that I brought up before from the great Gandhi and from the great Adi Shankara of the year 700. And they're so applicable. And it's so interesting to me that, sometimes we read things and they applied maybe 2 years ago, but we don't fully get the relevance and the application until they're hitting home or the situations in life are really hitting home. And then we see the truth in it. And boy, I woke up this morning and I guess I'll say in a state of despair a little bit. And went on my walk, and my wife and I chatted and came out of it. And these quotes then just hit me like a brick. But they're beautiful quotes. So let me bring them up because they are so applicable to today. So the first one is, the great Mahatma Gandhi. Now, if you watch the movie, he brings it up when he is fasting in his opposition to in opposition to the riots and the killing and just the junk that's associated with the rule of the British Empire. But he wasn't really he was angry because there was so much rioting by the citizens of India also. And he just wanted everything to stop. And I'm assuming that's when the quote was, but I know that's when it was in the movie. But if you Google Gandhi, this is one of his most famous quotes, and I just love it. And I think it's a truth. When I despair, I remember that all through history, the way of truth and love have always won. There have been tyrants and murderers, and for a time, they can seem invincible. The key there, I think, is they can seem invincible. But in the end, they always fall. Think of it. Always. So I'm just going to leave that there. What a powerful, powerful quote. And I think in these times we have to remember, my last video talked about the great Adi Shankara of the 700s, talking about looking at life and instead of just battling everything, looking at how we can take this time and somehow learn from it and actually come out in a positive side. And I think that's important. And I'm going to use another Shankara quote. It's nice. I think this Gandhi quote is fabulous. But I also had to look at what am I going to do? If anything, how am I going to deal with it? And I think that this next quote is pretty helpful in that end. And I brought up the idea of the gunas, which in the religions of India is very powerful. And it has the gunas are the tendencies of life. And so we have what's called sattva, raja, and tamas guna. And sattva guna, as it says, is the love, the harmony. It's a fine wavelength. It's luminous, serenity, truth, virtuous. We get what that is, sattva. Raja guna is passion, activity, self-centeredness, egoistic, individualizing, dynamic. But, it's that strength and push and go. But I think it's important that it says, like it says there, egoistic, individualizing. So we're seeing that stirred up all over the place. And the same like the lower one, the very thick one, is tamas, and it's the quality of imbalance, chaos. Right now, we got a lot of chaos being created, and I think it's intentional. And that chaos, the impurity and destruction and delusion of it all, that's the tamas quality. And we have to remember that these qualities exist, and we all embrace one more than the other, but they all exist. And boy, did I this morning have some despair and some upset. And I was not a happy camper, as we can say. And as my wife and I talked and we walked along, we chatted about these things. And I was reminded that this line right here of the great Shankara, tamas is overcome by both raja and sattva. Yes. So that lower one, both Raja and Tama, a sattva, can overcome that. So sometimes you might have to get a little angry and a little bit forceful to, let's say, bring somebody else or yourself out of it. And then it says Raja is overcome by sattva. So in the end, sattva is the one that overcomes both. And so as it's said by the great Shankara, sattva is overcome when the pure Atman shines. So we have the tamas, raja, sattva. Sattva overcomes both of those tendencies in life. But in the end, Atman, consciousness, God, purity, truth, that which we call consciousness, Brahman, when that shines, they're all overcome. I think that's really powerful. It says, therefore, be established in sattva. Because sattva in this world will overcome the rest. I think that's just really powerful. And I want to say that we all have our unique paths. And to say that everybody should be sattva, or, I mean, those in the army or those that are, like the great General Arjuna, the Bhagavad Gita. I don't know exactly how when you go to war that you can, I mean, I know what the Bhagavad Gita says, but I mean, you're going to have to sometimes be active and you're going to have to go do what you got to do. And I know that's been a big challenge in my life, how to be on a path, a spiritual path, and at the same time live in the world that can really create some big challenges. So I'm definitely not saying that everybody should all, kind of like the 1960s, love and peace, but I'm also saying that that's a very, very powerful path. And I think maybe that what we have to be careful of is that if we choose to take a path of strength, make sure that that's not because the pot was stirred and we're just being strung along and we're really not controlling our emotions and our tendencies. How about that? And I must admit that I was a little out of control on that this morning. I was pretty bummed. And I don't like talking about the personal things, but I think that this was really applicable to today. So let me go back and end this again with this great, beautiful quote of "When I despair," the great Mahatma Gandhi. "When I despair, I remember that all through history the way of truth and love have always won. There have been tyrants and murderers, and for a time they can seem invincible. But in the end, they always fall. Think of it always." The great Mahatma Gandhi. All right.